Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm so excited for another amazing episode today, and this is a doozy. This is a topic that I have wanted to really start diving deeper and deeper into on the podcast for a long time now. Especially, every time I work with a client and I host, one of my programs, I see time and time again how for most women, one of the biggest root areas of healing and dependency on sugar and on food comes from the truth that most women don't really love themselves. And this breaks my heart to hear and to witness. And I just want you to know that you're not alone in that. And we're going to be having a really deep discussion about love today and about what it means and how we actually can begin stepping into accepting ourselves and loving ourselves and how that's going to change our relationship with sugar. Before we do, I want to share some really exciting things with you. Actually, the first thing that I want to do is share some amazing words from Mimi, who just finished my last round of the 10-week Break Free from Sugar program, which I'm so excited will be launching again this month, actually, and starting in February. So you can find the details and get on the wait list below. But I want to share Mimi's words here because her journey and transformation in just 10 weeks was so phenomenal. So Mimi says, the Break Free from Sugar course came at the right time for me. I was desperate and anxious to have a healthy relationship with sugar. At the time, I was fearful that I would fail yet again. And I know I needed something to motivate, inspire, support, and hold me accountable. Danny has put together a course with information, action steps, and the support of a community of women, exposure to new ideas, and really compassionate coaching. Since joining this course, I have developed a new, healthier relationship with sugar. It's not a struggle. I feel in control and inspired to continue this way of eating for the long term. This course would not be the same without Danny's leadership, guidance, and sense of fun and joy. She is a compassionate and insightful coach that gives her all to this program. Thank you so much for your words, Mimi. I want to share that with anyone who is considering joining the next round of the program and maybe can relate to Mimi's struggles and fear of failing yet again. And hopefully you'll come and get on the wait list and take this plunge for yourself. So these are actually two exciting things. I know that I've been sharing a little bit on the last episode, but I really just want to highlight here and make it clear because there are two, not just one, two really, really exciting opportunities to work with me and to work in the communities and do the healing, the deep, deep healing that really lies at the root of your unhealthy relationship with sugar this January. So I want to make it really clear, these two opportunities. Number one is actually my first ever virtual full day retreat called the Embodied Freedom Retreat that happens on January 14th. Now, early bird pricing for that retreat actually ends on the 10th. So you're going to want to get in early, save your spot before the price goes up to a lot more on January 11th. So that's number one, is a full day, amazing retreat. This is going to really kick off the year in a really powerful way. We're going to be doing a lot of incredible healing today in that day. As well as, a big part of that is actually going into this topic today. We're only able to talk about a little bit of this today. We're actually going to be applying a lot of these tools that I'm sharing and doing a lot of this actual embodiment and repatterning work around learning to love ourselves again in the retreat. And we take it to the next level even more with the second option to really dive in for those of you who are listening who are actually ready to get serious about healing their relationship with sugar from the inside out in a lasting way, just like Mimi did. I am going to be hosting another round of the Break Free from Sugar program. This is my signature 10-week program that is absolutely life-changing. I'm going to be sharing more success stories with you in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. And I'm so excited to be opening up registration again for this at the end of January. But there is a way to get in early. So what I'm doing is actually opening up early bird registration for those who are on the wait list. So you'll find a link below this episode to come and get your name on the wait list, and you'll get an email from me which hooks you up with the process to get early access and to learn all the details about the program before I open registration at the end of January to the public. So I love doing this, kind of giving you listeners, everyone who's listening to this, you're part of my beloved community, and I want to reward you for taking the plunge and jumping in early and just being a part of, my network and my community. I love giving back in this way. So there's some extra special goodies as well for those who get on the wait list, and have the opportunity to join early bird before January 15th. So after that, it's going to be regular. It's going to be open to the public, and you can still join at that point, but trust me, you're going to want to get in early before it fills up. So those are the two amazing things and opportunities that I've created this month. It feels so good to be, supporting you at the start of a new year with these opportunities to work with me, to work, not even with me, with the amazing, beautiful communities that I create in these safe spaces where we come together as women to heal and to know at our core that we're not alone in our struggles and our pain, and that we are all so connected, and we can come together in these environments where it's love and safety and community and connection. And, this is how we heal. I see this time and time again. So even if you've been burned in communities in the past or been judged or shamed, just know that please don't give up. This is something that I'm very skilled at, and very, it's such an honor to create these safe spaces for women. So first up, recap. Number one is the Embodied Freedom Retreat that happens on January 14th, but early bird pricing ends on January 10th. Part two, option number two, is the upcoming 10-week Break Free from Sugar program, which is a complete deep dive into healing the root causes and the deep-seated reasons why you're reaching to sugar every day. And early bird for that ends on January 15th. And you're going to want to get on the wait list. You'll find the link below to get access to early bird. So enough of that. So excited though. I want to make sure that these options are here before we dive into today's episode, because this is my heart and soul in everything that I do. And like I said, I'm going to be sharing more and more success stories with you. I actually have a very special guest coming on the podcast next week to share her story, having just wrapped up her journey with the Break Free from Sugar program, and so many more that I will be bringing you along the ride that I hope you enjoy. And whatever you choose to do for yourself to reach your health goals, to change your health, to really deepen into loving yourself and being compassionate and ending the war and the fight against food, I hope that you do something. I hope that you finally invest in yourself, the time, the money, the energy, find the person, whether it's me or not, that really feels aligned with what you need, and do something different. I love this definition of insanity, right? I know so many women out there right now are, maybe feeling a little bit of that at the start of the year, feeling, really overwhelmed with these goals, feeling like, why didn't I succeed last year? What's going on with me? And just, this understanding that insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And this is why I created the Break Free from Sugar program, and why, my coaching is so unique in what I do, because we're doing things differently. I'm going totally against the grain. Any other black sheep out there that want to do something different and against the grain, then definitely you're going to want to look into these options, because the truth is what we've been doing for most of you listening, right? The things that you have tried over decades haven't worked. And that's probably because you need to do something different. And I really offer that different view. I have a very different view of the world and different way of looking at things. And for some, that's refreshing. And for some, it's terrifying. And that's totally okay. But I really just want to encourage you to do something. It's January. This is such a good time to start something fresh and to really kick off, reach your goals before March, right? Like, what if you could really, really do this? And I know you can. Okay, enough of that. Let's get into today's topic about really learning how to love and accept yourself. Now, I'm talking about this today because I feel like this is one of the key foundational pieces that needs to be healed or really looked at and paid attention to in every single woman's life if they want to actually create a healthy relationship with food. We cannot avoid the work that we have to do as women around learning to love ourselves and accept ourselves and expect that we're going to be able to break free from sugar, right? Or break free from just unhealthy patterns or relationships or find that sense of peace and freedom that we want in our lives. We must take a hard look inside and really get honest with ourselves. And the truth is, and I've seen this, I've worked with hundreds of women now over the last 6 years doing this work. I see at a deep level, most women, and maybe you, right, are walking around really not loving yourself. And that's okay. I really want to hold compassion for that if this episode triggers that for you or that realization comes forward for you, because you're not alone. I see this in every one of my clients. I've seen it in myself. It is still a work in progress for me. It is an ongoing journey, and it is something that we were never taught. We were never taught that we are magnificent and magical and amazing and worthy of love. We have to learn this now as adults, and it's so possible, and it's such a rewarding experience and journey, and we're going to talk about this. So before we dive any deeper, what is love and where does it come from? And obviously, I was sitting before recording this episode trying to figure out how to define love, right? It's really a tricky one to define. And I actually encourage all of you to take a minute, maybe pause this episode and journal about this. What does love actually mean to you? Because we all are probably going to have a slightly different meaning of it. There's no one way to define love. But for me, you can try this on or make your own definition of love. But for me, it's really a deep sense and this knowing in my body that everything is okay, that I am okay, and that I am magical. It's this inner sense of joy and connection and compassion for myself or for someone else, right? We can have love towards an animal or a person or nature, right? It's this deep sense of connection in a really fulfilling way. And love is actually something that comes from source energy. So whatever you want to call the universe, God, any of the divine, whatever words you need, this is actually the true source of love. Comes from nature, from that energy that is bigger than us and outside of us. And love is something that just funnels through us. And I love kind of thinking of this, like I'm a vessel accepting this love that is the ultimate highest vibrational emotional state. By the way, love is the highest state of being. And when we can actually learn to live from a place of love and be open-hearted, loving ourselves, loving others, being accepting, this is really where we tap into total peace and freedom with the world around us. And, this is really beyond the scope of what we're going to be able to talk about today. There's so many angles and areas that we need to look at when we talk about love. And I'm going to be talking, we're definitely going to be diving into this more over the coming months on the podcast. But for today, right, I really want to give you some understanding of what love really is, where it comes from, and why this is so important when it comes to our relationship with food. Now, love is something we hear a lot. We see quotes, we see, people talking about it, but really understanding it conceptually and then actually having it in your life is a very different thing. Now, I feel it's also really important to understand why love is important. Why do we actually need it? Why is love something that we even need to look at? So maybe you don't have love for yourself, or you don't have love for your neighbor or humanity, or, but why is that important? So I want to remind all of you that love, like this feeling of love and support at an unconditional level, is a basic human need. This is a basic human need. So we're born into this world needing love from our caregivers, right? From usually for most of us, that's our mom or it was someone else. We need love because that helps us stay alive. It is a survival mechanism because when we have that love, we have the attachment. And when we have that love and attachment with our primary caregiver, maybe it's our mom who's breastfeeding us, they are a source of life. Without that person or that love and attachment, we die. So this is like definitely a basic human need. When we don't, like if we're born into a situation where we don't have love and we don't have attachment or connection or physical touch, babies die. So this is so deeply ingrained from us from the moment we're even conceived and we're floating around in our mother's womb. We need this energy and this vibration of love because it's our birthright. It is literally what the whole foundation of our universe is built on, is the vibration of love. And as human beings, we've gotten a little bit sidetracked. We've gotten a little bit out of the love bubble and got very sidetracked with hate and aggression and war and all of this stuff, which is a conversation for another day. But we can come back to this sense of love at any time. And this is almost like having to learn a new skill because we have really grown up in a society, in a world that constantly reminds us that we're not lovable, we're not worthy of love, we shouldn't feel love. And, now we're working at it, and there's so many leaders and amazing humans, preaching this, helping people really get back into learning to love themselves, because this is where our true power lies. And if you want to be empowered when it comes to your relationship with food or people in your life or just your relationship with yourself, you've got to learn to love yourself. And I'm so passionate about this. And it's not always easy. So why, I know I've mentioned a few of these already, but why don't we love ourselves, right? And I would actually love for you, pun intended, I'm going to use that word a lot today. I would love for you to take a minute to think about what is standing in the way of you fully loving yourself and accepting yourself, right? Those are kind of different. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what is standing in your way? If this is something that you're resonating with and going, oh, I guess I'm not loving myself. Why do you think that is? And I want to offer a few suggestions here. The truth is that most women, most children that, were raised in the last, century or even beyond, right, really didn't feel a sense of this love. So this is something that for most of us, it's missing from childhood. Whether it's growing up in a household where your family didn't say they loved you, they never said, I love you, which is really, really damaging for a child, or you just didn't really feel it. Maybe your dad was serious all the time and your mom was trying to run the household and she didn't have time for you. And there was a lot of this energy of conditional loving, which we're going to talk about. Another piece here to remember is that we have grown up in the society that teaches us to look for love outside of ourselves. So love comes from other people, right? As opposed to really deeply understanding that the source of love is within us first, and then we give to other people from there. We're bombarded with the media constantly telling us we're not good enough or we're skinny enough or we need to do things better. We're not in a fancy enough job or house. Like we're bombarded by movies and advertising and media that's constantly showing us why we shouldn't love ourselves because we're flawed. We get this message from family and friends, right? Maybe you grew up in a household or even kids at school. I know I was bullied. I was bullied a lot in elementary school. And, it really did a lot of damage to my self-esteem, right? And I had to relearn to stand in my power and own how amazing I am. And it's been a journey. And it really is the truth that most of us had someone in the family or friends or people at school that would peck us down, right? Or even teachers, right? Who shame you for getting an answer wrong or for being imperfect. We're constantly being showed how imperfect we are and how wrong we are and how much we need to improve versus fully being accepted for who we are. Very different energy. You know, we just constantly getting that messaging that we're not perfect and we did something wrong. So therefore, we're not worthy of love. This is the belief that starts to develop at a very young age. And I know for many women as well, there's also the bad girl paradox, right? Where you start to believe that you're just a bad girl. You know, when you did something wrong or you failed at something or you didn't get straight A's, well, you're a bad girl. And this is where this unconditional love piece comes in, because this is really important as you're on your self-love journey. This is really important. We're not talking about conditional love. We're talking about unconditional love. And it's a small difference, but it's massive. Okay? Unconditional love is what most of us have been taught is love. It's I'll love you if you get good grades. I'll love you if you do all your homework. I'll love you if you do this for me. If you help me move or you help me do something, then I will love you. I'll love you if you behave a certain way. This is the if statements. I will love you if, or you are worthy of love only if you are skinny and get straight A's. This is how our society is run, on conditional love. Your love is a condition of how you show up and behave versus your innate nature and birthright, which it is. So unconditional love is what we are reclaiming here, is loving yourself no matter what you do, what you say, what you look like, understanding that you're human, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to say the wrong thing. You might have let your health slip away and maybe you've gained weight or maybe you're struggling with mobility. You can still love yourself. Okay? This is so important to understand that loving yourself comes first. Healthy changes come after. It is, I'm going to say that again, actually, because this is a really powerful stand that I take, that we must first learn to love ourselves, or at least have some sort of acceptance or be on the journey to loving ourselves before we will ever really be able to make healthy changes. Because if you're constantly beating yourself up, hating on yourself, conditionally loving yourself, you are constantly going to be hitting up against a wall when it comes to trying to eat healthier or exercise or meditate more or sleep better, you know, all these habits that you might be trying to build or old addictive things that you're trying to break through. You will constantly fail. You will constantly slip back because you don't truly believe that you're worthy of it. Right? Ultimately, when we don't feel we love ourselves, we don't feel like we're worthy of that love. We don't feel like we're worthy of also feeling great in our body and being healthy and, you know, being strong and fit. It counteracts. So subconsciously, we're in this constant battle where the one part of our brain is like, no, I want to be healthy. And the other part is like, no, you're not worthy of it. So this is where so many women, you know, maybe you listening to this have tried 1 billion programs and invested tens of thousands of dollars and been on all the diets, and it just isn't working. It's because this foundational piece is running the show in your subconscious. And until you really take the steps to learning to be more compassionate and accepting and loving of yourself, you're going to continue hitting against that wall. And you're going to continue beating yourself down, thinking you're broken, thinking there's something wrong with you. I keep failing. I'm not worthy of it. And it's just this loop that continues. So we need to get in there and jam that loop and create a new pathway, a new way of being, a new way of showing up for yourself. So I hope by now you're starting to see, you know, what loving ourselves really has to do with our relationship with food. But in case you're not, there's a big piece here, and this is a massive pattern that I see with all of my clients, any woman. So if you're listening to this, know that you're not alone. There is such a subconscious patterning to use food to fill the void of love. So we're missing a basic human need, this deep sense of love for ourselves, not relying on other people, but ourselves. And we don't know what it is or what it means. It just feels like this void in our stomach, in our chest, in our heart. And we use food to fill that. We use food. Sugar gives me love, like a sense of love. I can't tell you how many women I've worked with, and we've worked through this understanding that eating sugar was actually a way of giving themselves love, because it gives you that false sense of joy in your brain, right? It gives you that dopamine hit. And it feels like a loving act because that's what we have been taught. Every single movie or advertisement has that message in it, that in order to give love or receive love, you bring cookies or you bake cookies or you snack on sugar with yourself. This message is everywhere. So we're using that void to fill the love need, which is not a healthy way to do that. And it's not a true source of love. It's not true. It's a false source of love. It's just been misdirected because we didn't know any better and we haven't been taught any differently. And this other really big realization and important piece to remember here is that when we are not loving ourselves unconditionally, right, we will always, like I just mentioned, revert back to self-sabotaging behavior, right? I so deeply feel that when we really love ourselves and are on this journey, and I'm going to say really honestly right here, I'm not perfect at this, not even close. I've come so far and I'm still continuing to be aware and to repattern my own sense of self and love. But when we really learn these tools and learn to really embody and show up from a loving place for ourselves, it becomes easy to eat healthy. You want to do good for your body. It's not a choice. It's just becomes who you are because you want to look after this vessel, this skin sack that you're in on planet Earth for these, 90 or 100 years that you're here for, hopefully. You want to do good for it because you love yourself, right? And you begin to set healthier boundaries. You feel more confident in yourself. You ask for the job or the raise. You're happier. You're more joyful. You really fully honor and love your uniqueness. And you don't care what others think about you. You prioritize yourself. All of these beautiful ways of showing up in the world become who you are when you really love yourself. So this is a journey, right? But I hope you're starting to understand that it's an important one. And it's a journey that if you really want to break free from sugar or, any other unhealthy food habits or just unhealthy habits in your life or these patterns that are showing up for you that aren't serving you and are robbing you of your joy and happiness, this is an area that you have to look at. And you have to really get honest with yourself that maybe you don't love yourself right now. And that's okay. I remember having that epiphany for myself, really being in these unhealthy patterns and being so down on myself and constantly negative and constantly guilting and shaming myself and really noticing that, wow, I don't love myself, not fully. There's parts of me that I love, but not all of me. So that might be a place for you to start, right? Is understanding that there are parts of you that you love and growing from there. So the question now, right, is how do you actually begin to learn to love and accept yourself? So I want to mention here before I share a few tools, a few suggestions with you that in my mind anyway, you can choose for yourself, but acceptance is kind of step before unconditional love. So acceptance is kind of this space of letting go of the fight against yourself and being at peace with yourself. So acceptance and peace and just being at peace with, okay, this is where I am. Yes, okay, I'm struggling with sugar or, my weight or my relationships, and it's okay. This is where I am. This is part of my journey. This is, a lesson that I'm supposed to be learning, really having acceptance for wherever you are, right? Where your body is, where your mind is, where your journey is as you're healing and growing and learning as a human being. So acceptance is a lot easier to get to first. And I hesitate to use the word easier because it's still not easy, but acceptance is a good first goalpost is what I'm saying. So if you're someone who's listening to this that really, really deeply is lost and feeling very out of touch and very out of love with yourself, shoot for acceptance first, getting to this place where, and you'll notice it in your body. You'll notice when you're becoming more kind and more less beating yourself up and really being at that peaceful place with where you are in your journey and acceptance. And from acceptance, as you continue doing this work, you will grow into unconditionally loving yourself, right? So there's a small difference. And they're they're very much tied together. So I'm kind of using the words interchangeably, acceptance and love, but they're a little bit different. So just honor where you are on that journey, right? Maybe step one is to learn to accept yourself and just accept where you are, accept your body, accept, your skills, your failures, and just find peace with the mistakes that you've made in the past or the things that you haven't accomplished yet that you thought you would by this age or whatever is coming up for you. And then from there, you start to build. Okay, so some of the things that have made the biggest, I want to share this with all of you, some of the things that have made the biggest impact for me in my journey to really loving myself. Now, there's no one way to do this. There's no blueprint. This is really about conversations with coaches, with your support team, with people who are open to having these conversations and doing the work. So one of the most powerful things that I highly encourage, right, that has really made the biggest difference, not only in learning to love myself, but in learning to just be at peace and de-stress and all of these things, is spending time every day connecting with yourself. Now, if you're really wanting to focus on loving yourself, I encourage you to find meditations or mantras that support this new belief, a new pathway of I'm worthy of love, I love myself, I'm an amazing human being, I'm a magical gift on this planet. Whatever it is that really lands for you, and consistently repeating that or listening to that meditation or writing it on your mirror, having this be really in your face all day, every day until it starts to land in your body. But spending time with yourself every day to connect, whatever way that maybe it's a slow walk in nature where you just think about how amazing you are, or inviting in these new ways of thinking. And it might feel really awkward at first, really uncomfortable, which is why I love to start with like a guided meditation. And there's so many self-love meditations out there. Find one that you really enjoy and listen to it daily. Make that commitment. Every morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to listen to this loving meditation, and it's going to train my mind. This is what we kind of need to do, is train our mind to think differently about ourselves. Another big tool that I've used is just even spending more conscious time with myself. This has been huge. I know if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I take myself away usually every 3 months for a little getaway just for me. My Danny retreats. And it's usually 3 or 4 days where I just go rent an Airbnb and I go and hang out with Danny. I do what Danny wants to do. We have dance parties. We go out for dinner together. We go to the beach and explore, and we just hang out and get to know each other. So the more that I have gotten to know myself and my inner child and really built a new relationship with me, the more I understand how amazing I am, and the more it's able to flow through me that I am so loved and I'm worthy of love and I love myself. So just like you would, someone else that you love, you would spend quality time with them, right? You would go out and hang out, you go on adventures, you would spend time together talking and connecting and laughing and playing games, right? So how can you show up in that loving way for yourself? So dating yourself, we'll call it. That's kind of what I call it sometimes, right? Getting to know myself, spending time with myself in a way that's pleasurable and I enjoy, and I'm really getting to know myself at a different level when you're, having those intentional experiences. Another really important tool here, especially around our body and the amount of shame and hate that we carry for our bodies as women, a really powerful practice is loving touch. So this is a practice that actually my functional medical doctor passed on to me years ago, where, maybe you're fresh out of the shower or fresh out of the bath, or first thing in the morning, even better, when you're still sitting on the edge of your bed, is to touch parts of your body and say, I love you, whether inside or, verbally. I love you biceps, I love you shoulders, I love you head, I love you ears, I love you stomach, I love you thighs, and just, I love your butt, right? Just touching all of the parts of your body and just doing a check-in and sending gratitude and love to each and every muscle or part of your body, and really just allowing that to flood over you. And that's going to feel awkward at first, especially if you don't believe it yet, and that's okay. You're going to get there. Another one that just came to me that isn't on this list, but it should be, is eye gazing. So this is a really powerful practice to do by yourself when you're building this relationship, is in front of the mirror, gazing into your own eyes and saying, I love you. I love you unconditionally. Throw that word in there. And do that for like 30 seconds or a minute every day. And I guarantee over a couple weeks or months, you are going to start believing it. And our eyes are our windows to our soul. So you get to really directly communicate with your subconscious and your soul at your soul level when you're eye gazing with yourself. Again, this is something that's going to feel really uncomfortable at first if you're not used to this, especially if you want to take it to the next level and do this naked in front of the mirror. I really encourage that as well, right? It's so beautiful for the body and for every part of you to repattern by just looking into your eyes and saying nice things, saying these loving mantras. Gratitude practices is another really important piece, right? Having a gratitude practice that includes things that, not things outside of you that you're grateful for, but things inside your body and your mind. Okay, so being grateful, and I want to challenge all of you to do this on a daily basis, being grateful for something in your physical realm and something inside. So I'm really grateful that my legs work and that my legs are so strong and they allow me to go for my run this morning and go on hikes and explore the world. And I love that I'm so willing to be vulnerable and open and share from the heart so that I can inspire and do this work in the world that I'm meant to do. So what's something, physically that you can send gratitude to, and internally about your being? I love that I'm so kind. I love that I'm a good mom. I love that I'm, willing to go on adventures. And what is it about you internally? So that's a really, really beautiful practice to start building the love muscle. Another really awesome way to start, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but would be to start with the things that you can already really own that you love about yourself. So sitting down with your journal and listing out what you love about yourself. We're actually going to be doing this together in the upcoming Embodied Freedom Retreat. During our self-love time, we're going to be really diving into a lot of these tools and putting them into practice together. This list of what you love about yourself is a really powerful one, and that's why we're doing it at the retreat. Another piece here to build in is surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. I can't tell you how important this has been in my life and with the groups. I see this every time I host the Break Free from Sugar program, is watching women together share and really shine bright and be surrounded with other women who are lifting them up. So we need to put a stop and put a hard boundary around people who bring us down, people who rob our energy, people who don't believe in us, people who constantly point out our failures or what's wrong with us. And this might be your spouse. This might be your current best friend. And it can be really difficult to have to make those changes. But if someone's not actually, 95% of the time cheering you on and reminding you, being a mirror for you of how magical you are and amazing you are, those people do not deserve to be in your life. I so strongly believe that. And it's difficult. I know personally that it's difficult to step back from those relationships, but it's mandatory if you want to actually build your sense of self and confidence and find this love. The last piece that I'll share here and tool that's really important, and we dabbled a little bit about this in what I've already shared, is really getting into doing the beliefs and mindset work around this, because there is so much of you, and I can say this with confidence, I've worked with enough women now, right, that doesn't believe you're worthy of love. And that's a belief, right? I'm not worthy of love. I'm unlovable. Love only comes outside of me, or I can only be loved if I do good things, or if I'm skinny. All of these beliefs that we have around ourselves and around our ability to love ourselves need to be changed. These are neural pathways in the brain, ways that we think about ourselves in the world that need to be changed. And this is also one of the major areas that we're diving into in the Embodied Freedom Retreat, because getting into these self-sabotaging patterns and these belief systems and these old pathways in our brain around how we want to show up in the world, not just with loving ourselves, but with food and with sugar and with all these emotions and deeper pieces. This is why I knew I really had to focus in on this and bring this into the retreat. So let me just recap those, okay? These are some of the best ways that you can begin to learn to love and accept yourself. Spending time, number one is spending time daily to connect with yourself, whether it's doing a guided meditation or a mantra. Number two is loving touch. Number three is spending time with yourself, like dating yourself, go on adventures together, go on a getaway with yourself. Spend time actively getting to know yourself and going on adventures. Number four is eye gazing and saying those mantras in the mirror that maybe you've chosen, like I'm worthy of love, or I love you, or you're amazing and magical, whatever resonates with you. Number five is gratitude practices. So for your body and your internal world. Number six is listing what you love about yourself already, making your self-love list. 7 is surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. And number 8, finally, is really shifting those beliefs and doing the mindset work so that you can really start to think differently about love and about yourself. So I hope that this was really helpful. And I really sincerely hope that you sit down and reflect on this. I've invited you in with a few questions in this episode. And we all know that the difference between women who make progress with their relationship with food and themselves are the ones that do the work. They're not the ones that are just listening to this episode and forgetting everything and moving on with their day, right? These are the women who really do the homework that I'm sharing and actually apply it in their lives. This is how real change happens. And this is exactly what I do in the Break Free from Sugar program, why we have action items every single week, because it's not just about learning more information. And this is really a huge piece of why I wanted to put together the Embodied Freedom Retreat, so we can spend a whole day together with other amazing women who are really interested in also doing this deeper healing work. And we are going to be going so deeply into loving ourselves and shifting our self-beliefs. We've got a couple workshops planned for the Embodied Freedom Retreat on January 14th that are really going to take everything we talked about today and solidify it in your body and help you actually have the accountability to do the work instead of just sitting here, driving and listening to this podcast. We're going to be doing it together. I'm going to be there guiding you step by step through it. And we're going to be having so much fun while we do it. A couple other things I want to share about the retreat is that we're also going to be doing cooking party and doing some mindful eating to connect and relate with our food differently and our bodies and our emotions. And you're also going to be creating your 2023 health roadmap. So you're going to be actually creating your whole plan for yourself for 2023 to know exactly what your next steps are with your health and how you're going to actually accomplish that this year. So you get to the end of the year and finally feel, hey, I actually accomplished the things that I wanted to, and I'm feeling so amazing in my body. So final reminder that the early bird low pricing for the retreat ends on January 10th. So come and save your spot, and I hope to see you there. And of course, if you want to take things to the next level, come and get on the wait list for the next round of the Break Free from Sugar program that kicks off in February. Ooh, it's going to be an exciting couple months. I'm so excited for all of these beautiful opportunities to work together. And I hope to meet you and see you, and just so much love from my heart to yours for following along with the podcast, for being here. I can't believe actually February will be our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. 1 year. We're going to have some sort of 1-year birthday party without cake, because we don't need that. We don't need that to celebrate anymore, right? But yeah, I'm definitely going to do something special for all of you who have been following along and listening. And if you want to do something for me in return, something that would so help in a big way is taking a minute to leave a review for the podcast. It makes a huge difference in helping my show reach more and more listeners and help more and more people. So if you can take a quick minute, leave a 5-star review either on Spotify or iTunes, that would be amazing. And I'd be forever grateful, forever grateful. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I hope that you found this really eye-opening and really supportive. And if you're ready to actually apply everything that I've been talking about today, then hopefully we'll see you at the Embodied Freedom Retreat or in the upcoming program. So I look forward to seeing you there. See you on the next episode, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.